Hello, friends. It's me, Tillery Timmons-Sims, back again for another episode of Conservation Stories. We're here at the Jackalope Creative Studio in Lubbock, Texas, and I have with me today a repeat guest.
This is true.
Sarah Burnett.
Hello.
So we're going to visit today about some updates on Sarah's product. But before we do, so if you can go back and listen to actually probably one of our first podcasts that we did, I think it's within the first 10 at least, was Sarah talking about her dad, biological, he was thinking about microbes when I think most people didn't even believe we have microbes.
Exactly.
You know, and so he's kind of, that whole, everybody thinks you're crazy kind of thing.
100%. He was doing it before it was cool.
Right.
So I tell people.
Way back. Yeah.
Way ahead of the curve. And lots of people since then have told me that, I remember your dad and I just didn't know what he was talking about then. And now here we are. This is our 21st year in business.
That's amazing.
I know, right? We were in Brownfield and then in 2016 moved to our location outside of Idalou. You can't miss this. We're between the Palm Room and Bozeman Tire.
There you go. The Palm Room, which is like a landmark.
Right.
Lubbock County landmark.
Yeah.
The Palm Room.
Can't miss us.
Oh, gosh, that's so funny. Well, what in particular, I remember from our previous podcast was that my word for the year, that the year I met you was microbes.
That's it. Yes. Yeah.
So, and it kind of started me on a strange journey that has led me to where I am today. I feel like
it's all been good, but it has been windy.
It has been windy, and you were on a lonely path.
Yes.
And now you're on a very crowded path with
certainly
people that have legit products and people that do not have legitimate products.
Right. Yep.
And that's kind of what brings us here, because you have you had a partnership with Agrelis, and I will let you kind of give us some info on that, because the results of what you guys did this year are pretty astounding.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's partnered with Agrelis through their Proving Ground grant program. So first of all, Agrelis, if you don't know, agrelis.farm, you can check them out. They are essentially an online marketplace. Right. So you can put in a bid as a grower, and then people can respond with different prices, and you kind of get to shop around a little bit. So it's not quite a FBN. It's not quite Amazon. It's kind of somewhere in between. Right. The cool thing about vendors is that it opens up a new footprint. I might not be able to reach somebody in West Virginia, but now I could if I fit within, what they were looking for. So it's a great partnership. They came alongside with the Proving Ground platform, which basically for them to say that your product meets all of your guidelines and standards, that you met your product guarantees, and they go through a very rigorous third-party testing. And so I wanted to test BioNectar Dry in that way. And BioNectar Dry is our microbial package that comes with 2 different types of carbon, and you're able to add microbes to really any soil type, any, irrigation type, and just tank mix it in with your normal fertilizers, right? So it's very plug and play type product, but just really gives that soil the extra boost that it needs from a microbial standpoint. Something really special about BioNectar Dry is that it has both bacterial and fungal strains in it, which is unique to a lot of microbial products. And also it's going to be shelf stable. So our liquid product is BioNectar Liquid. We were super creative when we named it that one as well. And so it is a liquid biological inoculant, LBI as they call it. They come up with all these new names all the time just to try to set themselves apart. But basically we're all in the compost tea category. And so from the BioNectar Liquid is how we created BioNectar Dry. So same family of products, same essential idea. But the dry really solves a problem for a lot of people because they don't want to ship so-called liquid across the United States. Or it's hard to handle, or, so this completely water-soluble powder just sort of checked all the boxes. We've had it in our catalog for somewhere in the neighborhood of about 10 years now, but really had a challenge on finding somebody to test it. I think third-party testing is a huge chasm of weakness, if you will, in agriculture. You know, you can be the big boys and pay the big bucks and do your own trials, or you can partner with the university. But third party trials are really special because you push the product to them and you say, hey, here you go. And then 6 months later, you get a report. So it's a little bit scary because really and truly, it is what it is.
Yeah, they're just going to give you the and for Agrelis, proving ground is really their way to screen the products that grow onto Agrelis.farm, and so they don't want to be selling something that is not a legitimate product.
Correct. It's definitely their vetted stamp of approval. It's very rigorous. The report I got back was like 125 pages. Yeah, it was a lot of data. And they tracked like anything from PLFAs, microbiometer results to NPK, soil analysis, gram positive and negative, fungi. I mean, it was very diverse in all the data that they pulled. And there's really no way for us to, dig into all that today by any means. But it was exciting when they came back to us with the results. And I'm just very fortunate to have partnered with Agrelis because they really do believe in small businesses. And if people in our community stop shopping with small family-owned businesses, our communities are going to fail. From the inside out. So
exactly.
I'm super thankful that they saw value in what we were doing.
Yeah. And I think the thing to, think about like your local small businesses is they are loyal to the places that they're in. And so it's more than just the money that they make. It's that this is where they're rooted. And I mean, we saw this, I remember when a certain large store chain that starts in W came into all of our little communities, right? Sure. And everybody was like, it's going to put everybody out of business. And sure enough, put everybody out of business. And then when they weren't making enough money, they just left.
Sure.
So now you have this dilapidated building in town and,
eyesore with a hole to fill. And then you have all the Dollar Generals and things coming in. If we're not supposed to say that, I guess you can just cut that out. But naming names sometimes.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so
I feel like that's the scourge of the South.
It's something. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
No, it serves a purpose, but there is a hole there in our communities. But there's going to be more holes and more empty stores on downtown, squares and more, metal buildings that need to be filled up if we don't really pay attention to the community and the commerce going on in our communities. And, I could name probably 5 or 6 family-owned businesses that are still operating in the agricultural sector, that I just know, but there's not many left.
No.
So I count myself lucky that we're still here and functioning after 21 years. And our goal hasn't changed, which is to heal the soils of the earth and to find the people that need us.
Yeah.
And so it's been really enormous blessing.
Well, and it's got to be super gratifying because I know the little bit that you have told me about the results. It's just, what?
It took a few days to absorb kind of what they told me and to look through some of their data. And I mean, in full disclosure, I don't know that I have peeled every, onion in this entire 120 some odd page report. But the highlights are, it checked all the boxes.
Okay. But before we talk about it, let's also go this is like, you did not know where this was going to be used. You did not know on what commodity or specialty crop it would be. You didn't know. Did you know any of that?
The only thing I knew is that they said, well, the conversation started out, what do you think you want to put it on? And I thought, well, specialty crops are probably not, it can go on anything. But
excuse me,
the time of the year and the planning sort of lend itself to something a little more specialty. And so I just kind of pulled a crop out of the air and said, find us some watermelons.
Okay.
And they said, okay. And we didn't know where it was. So it was very much just sort of a
and did the farmer know what product they were going to be given to use? Because it used on a farm?
It was used on a farm. Right. It was a 46-acre watermelon farm. Turns out that was in Sampson County, North Carolina.
Okay.
Right. Who knew? And that county is the most productive agricultural county in the entire state of North Carolina. They grow every commodity North Carolina produces except Christmas trees. So very diverse, very
wow. What an interesting place.
It is. I would love to go there.
Yeah.
Just knowledgeable farmers that have a lot of experience. So this wasn't their first rodeo, right?
Right.
And the way it worked is that they worked with a agronomy firm there, like infield agronomist, and those folks are the ones that executed the trial and gathered all the data. So we have several steps here between me and the results, which is good. That's what you want. That's why this works. And compiled the results, and it was really it was exciting. Like sometimes you don't want to. I'm a little modest, I guess. I don't.
Well, we're here. Drum roll. Increase in yields.
46.8%. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, it was. It was great. And so basically, I brought my little notes today because I'm a note taker. But
so
yeah, we can talk about details. But essentially, it helped the soil function better from a microbial standpoint. There was higher fungal ratios than bacterial, which is not what you find around here, right? So their soil is a little bit different, but it's still conventionally farmed. This was a dry land watermelon operation.
Okay.
It was a wet year. You have to take into account all of those sort of things.
But it was they're not looking at my yields from the past. They're looking at a control.
Yes, correct.
Right. So you got one side of the field where there's no BioNectar dry put on, and then the other side where you have 46% more yield. So it did increase the size of the melons.
Yes, it did. And it was not so much in length, but it was in melon uniformity.
Oh, interesting.
Right?
Huh.
And also pounds per acre. And that's really where the big difference came. And it was like, I can even tell you, the difference in pounds or bushels per acre was 813 pounds per acre. More. So the control melons were about 20 pounds. These in the treatment were 22, 23 pounds. Yeah. The grower was remiss because he didn't evidently have a premium contract, but he could have sold them for premium. He could have sold. So he could have gained even more dollars. But essentially it increased the yield per acre. It improved the soil function. And it also, and there was, like I said, the report was huge, but created more plant available nutrients. So it was wonderful to see all those positive boxes checked.
Wow. So, I know this has been such a hard year for everybody. And I can imagine like for you guys, because people are constantly trying to like cut back on inputs. And from the conversations that I've had with you and other people that are using your product, it's like this is actually at the end of the day can be actually helping you like decrease those input costs.
Yes, absolutely. They gave me the list of other things that they put on this trial, and it was quite large. I mean, their standard program on a conventional watermelon requires lots of applications of weed control or fungicides or whatever the case may be. And, I think that if they had let us or known more about it, we could have maybe reduced or controlled some of those. But absolutely, microbes are there to convert to make plant available atmospheric nitrogen into plant available nitrogen. They're having this exchange at the root zone of, the mycelia creep out and create this beautiful kind of cohesive connection amongst the soil and the plants there. And they're sending out, I need some more potassium, or I need more phosphorus. It's just this communication system under the soil, root exudates and amino acids and fatty acids, and it's just beautiful. God designed it, so
it is wonderful. It is crazy to me, and I think a lot of times, like knowing more, and every once in a while, Facebook reads your mind, and
yes, it does.
It sees like sadly. All of a sudden you see something you've been thinking about, and so I see a lot of stuff, new articles and stuff coming out from science magazines about do trees talk to each other? And
They totally do.
oh my gosh. And I went, a couple of years ago with Tall we were in the redwoods, which is just like this spiritual experience.
It is unbelievable. Right.
And then I when I was there, I kept thinking about C.S. Lewis's books and the trees that talk to each other.
Right.
And I don't know. It's where we always want things to be simple. And my goodness, the thing that you think is the simplest is like the closer you look at it, the more complex it is.
I think about the soil is deeper than the ocean and wider than the sky.
Yes, I can see that. Yeah.
It is so diverse. It is so unique. What works here doesn't work over there. We have what they call native bacteria, like things that only grow here. But, if you're going to put BioNectar dry, it seems to work wherever it goes. So there's some universal truths when it comes to microbial products. And then, you kind of got to know what you're shopping for and know what you need. But very, very tiny, like probably, and you can't quote me because I don't know exactly, but like less than 1% of all fungal strains have been typed for function.
Yeah.
So it's also another conversation we could have of how does the government or a certifier know if something's beneficial or not, because there's really no data on it.
Right. I remember our mutual friend Mary.
Yes.
Says like she could spend her entire life studying like maybe 2 microbes and still not understand them fully of how they function. Yeah.
And so there's much more information on bacterial strains than there are fungal strains.
Well, which makes sense. Yeah, I can see that.
Well, bacterial are going to be more of the decomposers and digesters and the more anaerobic type, behaviors, if you will.
So no, because now we have people that will tell us they don't know what that means. So
anaerobic is without oxygen.
Okay.
Aerobic is with oxygen.
Okay.
And then there's a little family that lives in the middle called facultative, and they kind of can go back and forth in that environment. When I think about microbial products, I want them to be alive because I'm putting them on a life system.
Right.
So why would I want to hang out in just the anaerobic? They serve a purpose, certainly. You don't want to go without, but a more robust, complete product is going to have a more broad profile of both, and then all 3 categories.
So you're saying, and then these 2 with or without oxygen, there's a whole list of microbial families that are in each one of these?
Oh, yes, certainly. That I couldn't even begin to dive into today without, chat and Google in a couple hours. But it's a lot to take in, but you just have to know the basics. Like if you're putting something that's alive on a system that's alive, that seems to make sense to me. Just like we're alive, we're aerobic, right? We need live, positive things. You can also think of the soil as being similar to your gut microbiome.
Isn't that, and this is what fascinates me about your dad, is that he saw that connection in like 1970 something.
You have a very good memory. Yes.
And did his master's thesis on something similar?
So he was getting his master's degree in ruminant nutrition at Texas Tech and wrote his thesis. And in the thesis, he talks about feed and its relation to gut function in ruminant animals. And I think really that was sort of this, 8-ball saying, hey, later this is going to all make sense to you. God uses those things so intricately and so specifically. And so eventually, as he created BioNectar liquid in about 2002, 3, 4 was that time frame. That's where it all came full circle is, hey, if we have healthier soil, it's going to grow a more nutrient dense plant, which is going to feed a healthier animal, which feeds a healthier person. And for him, it was a mission field that person would then serve the Lord and be part of the kingdom. And, the circle goes round. Yeah. So it's fun to be a part of what he perceived without even knowing it. So
yeah, it really is. To me, it's just amazing, like how many, it's so often the people that are the ones that pioneer, they take the risk, they take the ridicule, and often don't see the reward at the end of the day, and I wonder, like, how do you how do you go back and thank those people and make sure that like, you know, that they're recognized too. And I see those people around me now. I think that you're one of those same people that's just like out there, you know, and maybe like, hey, this isn't like what everybody else is saying, you know, and maybe it's different, you know, and it's hard to continue to have those conversations sometimes without feeling just discouraged. And so I hope that you know, like that I appreciate, you know, all these different ideas and things that you've exposed me to, you know, and I don't always agree.
We don't have to.
We don't
always have to.
I know.
Agree.
That's the cool thing about it. I love it.
We can have conversation without confrontation.
Yes.
And I
love that.
More people could do that.
Exactly.
Because we're always learning. I'm learning. You teach me so much about all these water topics and all the things that you and hemp and your journey through all the things you've been through. And it's just great that we can all contribute to the greater good and the greater knowledge and experience and exposure and all the things.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's wild.
Hi, can I tell you about a new friend that we have for the podcast? It's Summer Moon. Summer Moon has 2 locations in Lubbock where they serve the most amazing oak roasted coffee. This one is my personal favorite, the Velvet Blaze. And I would highly recommend you go and check them out, not just for their great coffee, but this legendary moon milk that they put in their coffee. It is amazing. They are a Texas-owned company and a locally owned franchise, and we're grateful to have them as sponsoring of our podcast. So go and check them out. Summer Moon. Thanks.
One interesting thing about this trial that we hadn't done before that he would have been super excited about is that this was a transplant trial. So they took the little watermelons and their little baby roots.
Yes.
They activated the BioNectar dry and then dipped the roots and then planted them.
Wow.
Yeah. So it wasn't like this really technical application. It wasn't overwhelming. And then at bloom fruiting kind of stage, they went back just with a foliar app over the top. So in total, the retail price of the grower was like $35. And it created
$35 an acre.
$35 an acre.
And it created, like, I don't know what watermelon was selling for, but when you think about another, what did you say?
It was 25 cents a pound. This is the report, again, third party report. And the difference in revenue per acre was like $4,600 or something. So, I mean, just numbers that are not commodity crop numbers, but are comfortable and normal for specialty crop producers.
and he also didn't get the premium that he could have gotten.
Yeah. And there's a lot of variables too. I mean, third-party trials are great because I think they really take the, you know, did you manipulate anything out of the equation?
Yeah.
But also, you know, you're at the mercy of however the agronomist or the grower wants to execute or apply.
Yeah.
And are they doing it correctly? You sure hope so. But it's gathering usable data is a challenge for any small business. And, you know,
it's more and more important all the time.
It is. Well, people say, well, what does it cost? What is it going to make me? You know, they're really not sometimes so interested in the other, you know, parallel benefits. But we're just here to educate people, and we're not trying to run anybody else's race. We just want to create a good product that is affordable and available and is manufactured not only locally, but all of the ingredients are sourced domestically. So we don't have a lot of the price fluctuations that you're going to see with traditional NPK fertilizers through bigger vendors. So it does pay to shop local.
So I know that you're doing some work with Susan in Oklahoma.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about her and what you're doing there. She's also a pioneering thinker.
Yes, she is. I call her the Queen of Oklahoma, but not to her face.
Susan Bergen. So
Susan Bergen.
We should say her last
name.
She's
just a super cool and creative businesswoman who has done many things in agriculture and seen the need for soil health and absolutely practice with what she preaches.
Yeah.
And she is a cattle woman through and through. And I've been working with her on a biochar project. And
so for
really
those of us who do
interesting.
not know, I mean, people don't know what biochar is, because it might be that might be a new word to people.
Well, please add to this definition if I don't totally encapsulate it. But biochar is a organic material. So it could be cotton stalks, it could be pecan shells, it could be wood pallets,
Yes.
it could be fallen
Mesquite.
trees, it
Yes.
could be anything organic, right? So that they essentially send through a machine through the process of pyrolysis that heats it up at some
They're burning it at an ungodly
1500 degrees for so and so. And anyway, what it creates is this sort of charred biochar, biologically charred material that comes out in little pieces and parts.
Yeah.
And
it's ash, kind of like you would say, maybe kind of like that.
It's hard.
But it's hard.
Charcoal, yeah. But
that might be better description.
Yeah. It has a lot of little spaces and nooks and crannies in it. And it is really good for improving water retention in your soil and adding organic matter. Well, the trick is it takes a long time to break down because of the material and the size and the shape. And so BioNectar Dry is being used to inoculate the biochar. So all these little nooks and crannies, we can apply biology that is going to help to break down the biochar quicker to become more plant available and be part of that ecosystem and break it down faster.
Right. And biochar is it's new to us, but historically, it's pretty much an ancient type of fertilizer, I guess, so to speak. You think there's records of it being used way, way back in time.
I just picture
in different cultures.
Campfire. It's as long as there's been fire, there's been biochar of some shape or form.
Right.
Readily available. The trick with biochar is that it's really loose and it's hard to ship. So people are developing programs regionally for it.
Yeah, that'll have to be right.
And so that's over in the Louisiana area and Arkansas. And we have pecan biochar in South Texas. We have it, I know there's been some research on cotton stalk biochar, but I'm not as up to speed on that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, if I'm thinking correctly, I feel like maybe Bingham's have sent some cotton stalks off for research on biochar. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it really anything, but I know mesquite, so there's a lot of things, but yes, it is the setup of it has historically been expensive, or it's expensive to ship. And so it just hasn't been something that people have pursued. But I see what you're seeing is this increase in smaller production model, regional
sources, right? Exactly. And I know there's some funds, or have been historically, through the NRCS for biochar applications, and it's kind of one of those buzzwords that go around. And I hope it's here to stay. But really, our goal is to make it more plant available faster, and that's done through microbial inoculation, like products like BioNectar Dry or BioNectar Liquid.
So you've used that word twice, inoculation. So help people understand what that means when you're talking about microbes and inoculating. Because what do you mean by that? What does that mean?
For me, it's adding biological products to a carrier that is going to go into the soil. So I have merged them, if you will. You took your Elmer's glue and you stuck your
right. Well, and it's almost like, because we're
to the
right where you hear that word too is in vaccines too, like you're being inoculated against certain types,
adding strains.
So you're adding strains to your body to fight strains. To get your body to fight strains. So I always, when I hear people use that in the ag world, of course, those are the two that I connect together. And I think, especially with what you're talking about with biologicals, it's really very similar. I mean, it's kind of the similar idea.
So it's also kind of a time saver. Like I could take BioNectar Dry and liquefy it and put it on foliar, or put it through the subsurface drip, or put it, through a pivot, and it could run with other things. But if I'm adding it to a carbon source, then it's a twofer, right? So it's a good way to send it in where it has food and has time to break down, and it's going to get to that root zone area.
Because carbon is the food. The carbon is the food for the plants, but the plants have to the microbes are breaking all that down and delivering all of that.
And there's so many different kinds of carbon. I think people, they either don't know what carbon is or don't know what they have as carbon. So,
well, and I think what I think is interesting is that, like, when I first started learning about this, to understand, like, carbon always seems like this woo-woo bad guy in the sky that we're killing each other with, but it's actually like such a vital component to our life.
It is the number one center of life. Carbon is the center of all living things. And it's kind of got poo-pooed, if you will, because people associate it with carbon credits, and carbon credits are money, and there's offsetting carbon credits with these large firms or companies, and
or we have too much carbon in the atmosphere, and so we're destroying the world. And
totally. They took the exit where I'm still going down the interstate. There's a lot of exits, right? But carbon can be powdered sugar, granular sugar, molasses, linardite, lignite, organic materials. Like, there's tons of carbon sources. So you kind of have to brush all the extra stuff away and know that you need to be putting carbon into your soil. And you also want to consider what is the correct carbon to nitrogen ratio. And that's a conversation that some people want to have and some people don't want to have.
Right.
And, it's easy to add nitrogen. We have tons of sources of that. Right. But it's harder to add carbon. In talking about carbon and nitrogen ratios, the reason that you don't want to add too much nitrogen, synthetic nitrogen, to your soil ecosystem is because it makes the nitrogen fixers that are there organically sluggish.
Oh, because they don't have to do so much work.
That's correct. Yeah. So this ecosystem that is innately designed to function on its own, that has layers and levels of different, contributors, it's like just dulling.
It becomes dependent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Interesting.
And we just don't want to overdo it, because then you're throwing the system out of balance. And if that's one word I could really pin to Texas Earth, we're about natural balance. And I think that we can take every category of producer and every method of producer and say, okay, how can we get the most out of what you're doing in your program by adding some microbial food or microbial strains. BioNectar and BioNectar Dry are OMRI certified, but a vast majority of our customers are not organic producers.
Yes, exactly.
And I think that's a kind of a misconception that if you're selling organic or natural products, that you only help one category of person.
Right.
And that is absolutely not true.
Yeah.
It's just not true.
Well, and I think that goes back to some of the things that, when you talk about regenerative agriculture, it's like it has to be so place-based and specific. And that's what I see about Texas Earth. It's like, you're not just saying, here's what you do in every situation. You're like looking at each one of these customers separately and their production methods and where they are.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is not a one-size-fits-all, but it is a product that everyone needs.
Well, don't you think that that's kind of where I don't know, it seems like to me that if you looked at like what an overarching like understanding of what regen means, it's just a more detailed management system.
Yeah, that's fair. Yes.
No, it's not. And so, I mean, and it can incorporate a lot of different things in it.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing too about small businesses, I'm kind of harping on that today. Evidently, that's just like
it's on your mind.
It's on my mind, right?
But it's a good thing to have on your mind.
It is. Well, because it just matters to everybody. We're sitting in a small business right now doing this.
Exactly.
I mean, there's all different kinds of businesses that contribute to the success of agriculture, and this is one type, right? In addition to nonprofits like Sand Hills area and others, but it is really interesting because our customers come to us and it's not here's a widget. I'm going to sell this widget off of the shelf because I have too many of them.
Right.
And we're not pushing anything on anybody, which I feel like you might get that other places, but here's this holistic program. What are you doing already? How can we add to that? And what are the positive outcomes that we create?
Right.
So everyone has their own unique case and situation. And we really want to develop personal relationships with people, and we have. And I mean, there's lots of folks that have they just won't live without what we do, which I'm so thankful for.
Well, and you guys, I mean, you've got customers all over. I know, like
Yes.
we get food, if we get food from Costco, it probably has some BioNectar on it.
So yeah,
been used in it.
2 years ago, or in some past years, all of the Kirkland brand leafy greens had BioNectar liquid on them.
Wow.
And those come out of California.
Right.
We service dragon fruit. We service compost manufacturers, hops growers, traditional commodity crops, peanuts, watermelon, cantaloupe, tomatoes. Love what we do.
Yeah.
You know, gardeners.
Yes.
So,
and that is something too, like people that are not farming. Like this is a product that is readily available. It's in Idalou. It's easy to get. They can deliver it to your house even. And also we haven't even talked about like what you have with your BioFloof, which is like a cotton product.
Oh yes. Oh,
and I think we did
BioFloof.
talk about that in the last one, but like if you are a home gardener and you want to reduce water use, this is like a peat moss, a replacement for peat moss, but it also is inoculated.
It is.
With microbes.
High five. She's hired. No. So BioFloof is a fuzzy cotton seed meal that we turned into a pellet and then we inoculated. And it has a little bit of NPK with it, but 328% water holding capacity. So super low use rate and really holds the moisture in the soil for the aerobic function. You know,
okay.
Well, what do microbes need to survive? Maybe that's something that we should talk about. Do you know?
That's actually.
Do you know what the three things are?
Well, I'm assuming they need air and water, but I don't know what the other thing. Carbon? Food. I don't know.
Yeah, food. Exactly right. Yeah, and just like us, we have to eat, we have to breathe, and we need.
So they eat the carbon, and then what they are getting rid of, is what the plant needs.
Yes. Yeah, it's this beautiful exchange of
I never thought I'd have so many conversations about what things poop.
Yes.
Because it's the same thing with like our fertilizers and all these things that
it's natural. It's what happens. It's part of the ecosystem. Yeah.
Yep.
So bug poop, worm castings. I mean, you can say that and nobody bats it.
Nobody knows that it's actually worm poop.
Bat guano. We could just go all day.
All these things that are like the waste stream that actually are not a waste.
That's correct.
They're not a waste.
No, the design was nothing wasted.
That's amazing.
Yes, indeed. So it's very good. But yeah,
it's amazing.
All kinds of fun stuff.
So, well, what's next? You got anything big coming up?
Jeez.
Or we're moving into winter. People are harvesting around here and
you
know.
Right. So fortunately, because we do have dealers and distributors and customers in other states, we are able to support double cropping areas. And so we're still kind of chugging along, if you will, through the winter, which I'm so thankful for, and planning for the spring and developing our partnership with Agrelis, finding new dealers and outlets, and just trying to reach as many people as we can and be as helpful as possible.
Yep. Well, home gardeners, one more time. Also, this is also being used on golf courses.
Oh, yes.
So if you got grass, this is a great thing to put on your grass. So, and I have actually I can tell you, like I've put it in I'm forever forgetting to water the pot on my front porch. And so that's where I put my BioFloof. And so that way it survives.
Do you know how
forgetting?
So the way that all happened was that I was calling on a customer one day and they had a hanging basket that was just dead as a doornail. It was dry. And I thought to myself, that would be smart if you put, I had like a very young baby at that time. I thought, you should put a diaper in the bottom of that and it would retain all the water. And then, then this material comes to, into my sort of atmosphere. And I thought, I dreamed about it. And you were there that day.
I remember. I was actually there when you walked in.
Yeah.
Yes.
I said, I dreamed about this material. And in my dream, I checked the water holding capacity and I added BioNectar dry to it. And you and my sister were there. So we'll try it. And it worked out exactly the same way in my dream. But it all started with a hanging basket that I was like, how do you solve that?
Right.
But the cool thing about Biofloof is that it supports the cotton industry.
Exactly.
And
Another market.
It's been historically a byproduct or a waste stream. There's waste again, right?
Yep.
And so now we can turn that into a really usable product. And now it's in actual potting soil blends through
I didn't know that.
a big box manufacturer. And so it's growing and it has its own pathway and doing all kinds of fun stuff on its own. So it's just fun to really.
That's awesome. Is it available somewhere locally?
Sure, absolutely. You can you can just call texasearth.com or you can shop growtexasearth.com.
Right.
And any size, any packaging. I'm just really here to help, but we're hoping to move that BioNectar Dry and Biofloof into some.
So what we need to do is
online.
put you on the schedule to come back in the spring, and we could even like do some demonstrations on how home gardeners can use
That'd be fun.
that in their backyards and on their grass or
Well,
whatever.
absolutely. I need,
Pots.
again, third-party trial data. Like, how
That's
do you
right.
create data for something that is a little bit out there? But one thing that has just been wild is the demand, the overseas demand for
Really?
BioNectar Dry.
Now, I did see something on your LinkedIn
Yes.
about what you guys are doing.
Yeah. So BioNectar Dry and Biofloof, which I also call Windmill, WIN meal.
Okay.
We're winning with it.
Yes.
Supposedly. No, I'm just kidding. It's all good. But the UAE.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh, what a great place for it to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Because they are doing, in all the municipalities, they're adding all of this luscious greenery and plants and turning their desert into this beautiful, garden ecosystem. And we're going to try.
And I think some of where they're getting their water from might be cleaned, produced water.
I believe it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we might have talked about that some here on the
could have once or twice.
Yeah.
But it's fun because, natural solutions are, they're suitable for every situation, which, makes it so universal and fun.
And it's not as off the wall anymore as it once was.
No. And there are a lot of companies.
There are. And people need to be careful because
you got to know what you're shopping
there
for.
is what we would call snake oil for sure.
Ooh, yeah. That's not my favorite word, but it's true. A lot of startups, they're just looking to put out one.
Well, and I've seen that. I mean, like,
their brand.
yeah, I'm seeing that. Like, when I was in hemp, it was like 1 out of every third, 1,000 people was like a legitimate, not crook, and I think, oh my gosh, I do think it is worse in hemp because of its association with people that have been breaking the law for a while, but also is bad in new industries. And so as like, this is what I would consider like a new industry, but also I see it like in produced water too. Everybody's got the widget.
They do.
It's going to fix it. And so it's really, this is why I think this is so important, is for people to know that this is a legitimate choice.
It is. I mean, being in business 21 years speaks volumes to
it does.
Our history and the efficacy and our hearts for what we're doing. But, I would just encourage everybody to educate themselves about what they're shopping for and just be conscientious.
You can shop online, texasearth.com. Yep.
Yes, or just call me. My phone number's on there.
Okay. We'll share all that with you, friends. And thanks, Sarah.
Thank you. Thank you, my friend, and for all you do for agriculture.
Well, I just talk about it a lot.
Well, it takes people talking
I go around a lot and talk about it a lot. I want people to know the value that we can bring and bring value here. So thanks for giving us your time today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having us. You didn't ask the question.
Oh, okay. Let me ask it right now. Yeah. So sometimes when I remember, I ask my guests the question, who do you admire and wish that other people knew about? Living, dead?
Living, dead, or otherwise?
Otherwise.
Well, I wish I would have gotten to really see my dad in this sort of time frame when it was not as foreign.
Contentious.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
And to see what his approaches were. But there's a lot of things he wouldn't have liked either about this day. Yeah. But beyond my dad, which, I still dream about a lot, is Jamie Winship.
Jamie Winship.
Do you know Jamie Winship?
It sounds familiar.
He is a former government employee whose purpose was to go into hostile Muslim nations and to basically, how do I want to say this? Infiltrate and dissipate and just figure out kind of what was going on in those areas, the hostile areas, right? So started out as a police officer, right? Ended up multiple countries. But what he discovered was he wanted to really help people find their true identity. What did God make you? What does he call you? How can you know what it is that you're supposed to be doing and experience this one-on-one personal relationship with the Creator? And it varied from different regions and religions. And anyway, his stories are unbelievable, but probably the biggest takeaway is that he talks about a scarcity versus a complete mindset and how we as Westerners generally live in a scarcity. It's competition. It's, I have to take my own. I can't, there's not enough for anybody else. Right. And really a complete mindset is living knowing that you're provided for and there is enough. The resources are enough. And you are enough.
Yeah. Fascinating.
And it's just beautiful. And it's something that I've been able to talk to Everly about, to not be graded just on the report card and really how do you function in life and you know how are those two approaches either life-giving or depleting. And so anyway, Jamie Winship,
Jamie Winship.
His business is called Identity Exchange, and there's tons of videos on YouTube, but he's just somebody that always brings me a lot of joy.
Thanks, friends, for joining us again for another episode of Conservation Stories, and we will see you again.